find your passion, it ignites you as a person. You just feel awesome. Hello, what is going on? Welcome back to my channel. For my subscribers, pound it out. If this is your first time visiting my channel, my name is Crystal. I help you and people do jiu-jitsu a little better. So what we're gonna do today is I am going to show you what happened actually a couple of hours ago during jiu-jitsu. And I'm gonna narrate this a little bit, but on my Patreon, if you're interested in that, I am going to do a complete breakdown, and this is especially important and valuable if you do jiu-jitsu and you want to know, like, hey, if I actually wanted to get this to work live, what are like the little tips to actually get things to work? Because when we first start, we start from standing. And typically when you start from standing, in order to get somebody to the ground, you need to perform a takedown. The value of this is you get top position, and then you get control over what's going on. If you just leave it to chance and you end up on the bottom position, then you have a lot more work to do to get in a valuable position. If you can get a takedown and maintain top position, like you just won the fight, you just won the MMA fight, you just won the round, like in all contexts, you have succeeded. What we're doing here is practicing the timing of this technique. What I am trying to do is I'm trying to get Gary's weight to his rear leg. That way I can get the front leg up by sweeping my foot inward and then getting what's called a single leg. So once I just work on the timing on that, which is huge. A lot of things that look easy in jiu-jitsu, it's like, hold my beer, let me try this, and then you just crash and burn. When he's about to take a step back, what is the exact timing of that leg that I'm trying to sweep upward to my hands? When is that the lightest? Because that is the moment that that sweep action needs to occur in order for me to get the single leg. And then from there, the takedown that's being performed is called a single leg dump. So basically you get the single, you step back, you drive your shoulder weight on their leg, and then this causes an off balancing, and with that backward step, it allows them to be on their back. Now, once you get them on their back, you still have some work to do. There's still some work to be done. So the technique that is after this, right after I get them to the ground, is called a cut across pass. Now you have to be very careful when performing the cut across pass with your partner, because if you cut across really close to their, like you could legit cut across their junk, and that's not a good time for anybody. So just be very mindful when you're practicing this on your partner. If you can have your shin position a little further down from their junk, then you're less likely to cut across it and cause some pain. So basically for the cut across pass, this is I love the cut across pass. I've had a lot of success with it live rolling. So if you're a smaller person, I definitely suggest learning this technique. So basically you can see my shin goes across Gary's leg, and I have an underhook. My arm is underhooked on the far side, and then I slide through. My shin cuts across his thigh as I jockey for a good head position. So I'm keeping my head low, and I cut across into what's called a Keisakatami side control, which is also a judo side control. The reason why they call it a judo side control is because this is the position that you're often in when you start standing from a traditional judo tie. You typically land, when you perform a judo throw, you typically land in this. If you're successful with it, you'll land on the ground in this position. So it's always very useful to know how to maintain the Keisakatami pin, because once you get this pin, you can do so many fun things from the Keisakatami. Like, you can do a topside crucifix, which is really, really fun. I love doing the topside crucifix, especially in MMA. It can set you up to basically have control. You're on top, you have control of both their arms, so they are completely helpless, and then you can just punch their face. And if you're in an MMA fight, like, the fight's over. Like, they can't, you know, like, the ref is going to call it. So what Gary and I are doing here is basically everything that you do in Jiu-Jitsu is going to have a response and a defense. So you do something, what's the response that somebody else is going to do to prevent you from doing that? And then what is your response to their response? So that's why they call judo, or that's why they call Jiu-Jitsu like a chess game, because it's like, okay, I'm doing this. I know my opponent is going to do this because that's the typical defense. Now, when they do this, what am I going to do next? And how can I, like, win the situation? So basically, one of the defenses is your opponent who's on the ground is going to use their knee to try to bump you off of them. So a response to that is going for a back step and getting into the back step position and then stepping across over again and going again for that cut across pass. And what you can also do when you're back stepping, you can also threaten your whole leg attack sequence. You know what I mean? So you can break their foot, you can break their ankle while you're there, you can threaten that. And if they're thinking about that, they're not thinking about you doing the cut across pass, so then you can go for the cut across pass again. So it's like cut across pass, you're driving to get that, they defend it, you back step, threaten to break something in their lower extremities, and then you go back again for the cut across pass. In that order. So typically with drilling is great. It's basically what we do during classes, drilling. And you're about to hear Gary come in the door right now. So basically what Gary and I are doing is doing something called drilling. And one great thing about drilling is you can modify the resistance that your opponent or your partner is giving you. So that means you can start testing, hey, like, can you give me 10% resistance? Can you give me 30% resistance? Can you give me 40% resistance? And as they're increasing their resistance, it's giving you a more realistic feel of how it will feel and work when you are out rolling. And this is very important because if you just drill things at 0% all the time, you're gonna take it out on the mat and it is just gonna crash and burn. Take it from, like, I'm talking from my personal experience. It just crashes and burns. But if you can do these techniques and add incremental duress during your drilling, then you can start to see where things break down. And the value of that is you now have a controlled environment where you can repeat and repeat and repeat the move. If you've ever rolled before, you know, like, if you're out rolling, like, it just is so fast and you're not able to, like, hey, can we pause and press rewind, and can I do that move one more time? Like, that's not, like, that'd kind of be an unfair ask, you know, for your partner. All right, so I am going to film another version of this where I talk about the technique and exactly, and I gave you some, like, little insights during this video, but there's just definitely a lot more useful things that I can share with you. So I'm gonna do that for my friends over on Patreon. If you have watched this whole thing and you have not yet subscribed, like, go ahead. We should be friends. Subscribe to the channel because we bring useful stuff. Yeah, so just remember, just keep working on it, keep plugging on it. You know, you're doing great. Like, you're always, if you ever focus on something and you have like, you know, your heart's in it and you're like working hard and you're feeling good about it, and you have that like positive mindset, like, you know, I love the challenge. I love the challenge of rolling. I love doing repetitive movements over and over and over again in drilling, because the value of it is like, if you ever start rolling and you find yourself like, oh my God, I'm forgetting all these techniques. Once you drill and you're doing it over and over and over and over again, it literally becomes part of your subconscious. And how do I know that? During my MMA fight, that spinning back fist that knocked me to the ground broke my opponent's arm. Her arm broke over my head. So you can imagine, like, I almost got knocked out. I was operating on autopilot. And so to know jiu-jitsu to the point of being able to do it while you're kind of semi-conscious is where you want to be with your jiu-jitsu. Because what happens is, like, typically when we get stressed, like we forget. But as you learn it, it just becomes embedded, like, in your kind of like central processing system, instead of being like having to actively think about it. Like, your body just knows it. It just does it. Like, you could be reciting your ABCs, you could be doing something totally different, and it's just part of your like atomic system. So yeah, so just keep on drilling, and drilling with incremental resistance will help you transition to getting your jiu-jitsu to be real and like work when you're rolling. So yeah, all right. All right, until next time, bye.